welcome to another edition of Fundi Podcast. Hey, Matoto. Africa, there's a lot happening in this continent. Today we've got special guest. As you can see, the head is the giveaway who the guest is. First of all, congratulations, gentlemen. Second term, as we said, to Dr. Patrice.
Are you congratulating us or you are?
No,
I'm just trying to make sure.
Congratulations to Dr. Patrice Motsepe for being unopposed, elected second term at CAF.
But congratulate the continent as a whole.
Okay, please explain, sir.
No, the continent is winning.
How has the continent...
Since the move to have President Motsepe as president of CAF, when you look at the profile of African football, we've moved in the right direction.
Just tell Jamie that too.
Oh, Kariakoo.
Yes.
you can lead a camel to the water.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around so many African players, he should know better.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. But the profile of the AFCON is much bigger. When you look at the last AFCON, how many countries are watching it, how much money was made, sponsorship coming in, it's moving in the right direction. To a point where even the big broadcasters overseas, never mind us here on the continent, we're talking about it. It was a big talking point. That's a great thing for African football. Something we didn't see as much of during Issa Hayatu's reign. Instead of guys mostly talking about players leaving Manchester United, Liverpool at this crucial point of the season, no, we're talking about the actual football itself.
The event itself. I mean, Lufuno, you would remember, AFCON, most watched, entertaining as well. It wasn't, the team that ended up winning, they were halfway home. It was a competitive.
It had all the dramas that you need, you look at Ivory Coast as a host, you were not sure if they're going to be the champions because they were just about to be knocked out and they came back, in the back door and the rest is history, And, AFCON had everything, the ladies that you like a lot from that country of ours,
I'm a warm-blooded male, I shall not deny any.
Talking about a back door, but I would say backyard. They were there by the gate. They hadn't even moved out of the house. But anyway, if you look at what Patrice has done, and I think these are some of the things that we need to mention. He's transformed the AFCON into the top 3 in terms of audiences.
Yeah.
We're talking about 1.4 billion. Those are a lot of eyeballs, and we should never take that for granted.
But there's also the school part, Cox.
He took out.
It was literally an investment from the Motsepe Foundation that invested in African schools,
100%.
football in terms of happening.
Yeah.
But there was also the part whereby when you look at it, is that FAs have got to now behave in a certain manner because ethics are becoming important. You look at women's football has now benefited because, Sizwe, every team that participate in African competition, intercontinental, they have to have a woman element to it.
Yeah, you say the women's game. The Women's Champions League is shut up tremendously on the continent. It's important. It also can't be overstated. The same for the Women's AFCON. The fact that if Banyana win or whoever wins it going forward, you come home to a full house of spectators at home to welcome you back. It already shows you the profile. You mentioned schools. I had a chance to interview Patrice a couple of years ago in Malawi. Speaking about schools, it was a schools tournament, but the Southern African schools tournament. And he said, look, the profile was, look at rugby. What's making rugby in South Africa successful? Take that model and send it throughout the continent. And the fact that you've got North, South, East, West, and Central Africa all working together to a point where you can get the best youngsters, and not only guys and girls as well.
Yeah.
Best youngsters of that age group to partake in the different regions and then come together for the big showpiece is incredible when you consider COSAFA plays every year, WAFU doesn't.
Well,
so getting the different regions to work for me was the biggest challenge, and it's working for
now that we have moved 50 steps forward, Sizwe, Lufuno, we've moved 100 steps backwards. We can't even put a fixture together. You look at South Africa, Nedbank Cup, Sundowns versus Sukukune.
On the eve of.
The day before, game postponed.
Yeah, we still have those own goals that we still...
Kariakoo down.
in an organization like Premier Soccer League where, a mere fixture cannot be confirmed. And you only know about it when the game is just...
I have it on good authority that both teams are already in camp.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah, they should.
They should be. They were doing their jobs.
Yeah. Cox, the score had happened at Benjamin. Benjamin Kappa is not longer even on the CAF list of stadiums that can be used.
And remember, we're talking about the same teams that are participating. Remember when we were discussing that dubious top 5 leagues?
Yes,
and
yes.
we were saying these are the things that are going to chuck them out of these top 5 leagues. Because, I mean, you look at how it is, and we spoke about the professionalism of the league, the structure in which that they're taking. And I did say it's these small things that are happening in the background. You look at, teams being, banned, transfer banned. Those are the things that hamper the progress of the league. And a fixture as big as that, I mean, that's your marquee fixture. You cannot have a marquee fixture going forward because of silly little things. And it's not only that. I mean, we also saw in Cairo what happened.
No, Cairo, they tell we're not coming. I mean, we go back, and sometimes it's important that we go through these following things. Simba now pitches up day before the derby. They want to train. According to the MOU, they're allowed to do that. But while you do that, there's process to be followed. You can't just pitch up at the stadium and say, I'm allowed to train the day before, being a derby. See, so from that perspective, I mean, there's a lot that went into it. You've got supporters that have traveled from across East Africa. You've got supporters that have now
crossed borders,
traveled.
Yeah.
What does that then do for the image of the NBC League?
For me, there's a few worrying factors here. When you speak of an own goal scored, we're moving in the right direction on so many fronts. I mean,
no, it was 0-3. Forget the one own goal. It was it was a walkover.
When you speak of Yanga, Simba, a game of that magnitude, it's huge. It's like even in Cairo, huge. For me, what I find weird about the own goals we scored in a short space of time as the African continent, Yanga Simba is one of the biggest clubs from the East,
from that region, yes.
From the north, do they come bigger than
Zamalek? No.
Sundowns, arguably the biggest or most successful side in Southern Africa.
Yeah.
And Nedbank Cup quarterfinals, that's huge.
Yeah, that's the FA Cup.
Kukune is a big game. That's probably the game of the weekend in the Nedbank Cup, our FA Cup. And South, East, and North in the same time period.
Same weekend.
Same week.
Same weekend.
That takes you back to CAF maybe like 15, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When you're talking the problems on the continent. You don't want to see such big clubs where, like we say, for these games, people aren't traveling 2 hours.
Yeah.
Some are going cross borders to catch them. So it's the only things like that need to be fixed.
And what's bad, Mpo, is that these are minor things. Just minor administration things that needs to be put in place. And so that we can just move forward. I mean, you look at these 2 derbies in Cairo and Tanzania. This should be the one that you use to draw the money and television,
but Lufuno,
everything.
Lufuna, here's what I will say, because understand, and that's why you say when you look at the magnitude of what that does, African continent football is becoming big. Broadcasters want to broadcast it.
Absolutely.
They don't arrive match day.
No.
They arrive the day before.
Yes.
To pack those trucks, make sure the cameras are there, the investment of those. Absolutely. Now comes where you now need to go to a negotiation and you are now saying, can we be able to do that? You look at Cox. Let me rather ask you this way. From a Fadlu David's perspective, your team is now, you are now fighting for the top. You're looking at Cairo, top teams fighting to be in the Champions League. What does that do to the players
I mean, before I get into the players, maybe there's something that we need to call out, because continuously it's happening. You can't get to a position where you're prioritizing these minor things that have nothing to do with football over the actual game. Because the reason why there's a business running, the business model, the reason why you're able to employ people, the reason why your name is known is because of football. The very same Simba, if you remember what they did at Orlando. You remember in the middle of a match, they were lighting up things, they were doing, and these are the things that I'm talking about that you need to root out as soon as possible. You cannot rely on something so much to a point that it now starts to hamper on the progression of the business itself. So look at those things administratively, yes, fine, but also you cannot be stuck into this road where you say, if I don't do this thing in a certain way, then nothing will go on.
But some of these issues for me are so silly.
Yeah. Very
silly because let's say if we're going to have a match between Chiefs and Pirates and then we wanted to have foreign referees, That's surely something the league must decide on before.
No, but
It's not something we're going to discuss on match day.
no, but
decided upon.
no, but okay, Caesar, let's first start. Is it doable? Because this is a league game. Your FA is the one that gives you the.
For me, if you allow Al-Ahly to do that, or Zamalek to do
Everybody must be.
then, me as a relegation team, I say, hey, before I get relegated, now I want to play guys from England here, referees from England here.
100%.
Where do you draw the line?
Where does it stop?
But that tells you what is your booklet in terms of that, in terms of guiding the league to say when it comes to referees, who are referees that are allowed to officiate your FA games.
But remember, Lufuno, like Sizwe says, this is something that before any league starts, there's an AGM that's held.
Absolutely.
There's rules that needs to be approved and be able to pass on.
100%.
And this, so everybody before the season starts knows this is our perimeter, this is what we're going at. And now you then have somebody saying, no, I want international
The
referees.
week before. I mean, Barcelona and Real Madrid didn't decide we're going to go play the week before the final.
No, it was long. We knew a season before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't find yourself in a position where you're now letting a team stature get to be above the league, because if you look at Al-Ahly will not exist without the Egyptian league. Al-Ahly will not be able to have all the achievements that they've had without the league, without the organizations of the league, without the tournaments being there, without measures being taken in place.
Yeah.
So now when a team now starts thinking that they're above the league, that's when the problem is. And you need to now make an example of
But Likoko, this in Egypt did not start yesterday. At one stage, there was a game that was played in South Africa. I think it was a Super Cup. Zamalek and they came to South Africa to play for the final. It was FNB. But then I think a season ago, Zamalek refused to play Ali because they also demanded that they want a referee from us.
So you did it the last time, I'm doing it this time, so we can see whoever does that.
That's what the FA has agreed and accepted from the word go, because they should have rooted that out of the football.
But then, Sizo, I heard there's a minister, and I know we're running out of time. There's a minister of sports in Egypt that says, no, the game must be postponed. So since when do ministers get the say on?
First, there's interference.
That's government interference.
If think back to, I think there was a game of Swallows where one team arrived, Swallows went there.
Yes.
What's the end result?
Yeah. 3 points given, 3 goals, and plus a fine.
The rules are the rules.
We move on.
The rules are if I rock up and there was no saying the game is postponed or cancelled, and I rock up for you to say, no, today I don't feel like being here because... I'm sorry, but
because all the hard work that has happened, the Egyptian league has got that. But when I look at the Kariakoo derby, what has happened and the rise that Tanzanian football has been in has been undone, because now we're going... What credibility is there, Cox? If I'm an international broadcaster,
or a sponsor,
how do I look at it and say, as Bain, and say I'm going to invest so much money to be able to broadcast that?
No, correct. And you look at it trickles down throughout the continent. When I say take care of the smaller things so that you're able to progress your league. We look at, for example, Zambia. Zambia recently just stopped one of the broadcasting sponsorships. So those are the things where people look at what's happening holistically in the league. Administratively, are you making it easy for me to broadcast these matches? Yes, we can come and complain and say, people are not giving African football a chance to be, for the audience to see what's happening. Yes, we complain that the Ballon d'Or and they're being voted on, no one is able to see what's happening. But are you making it easier for there to be footage that can be broadcast throughout the continent? I mean, we're speaking about the very same CAF that has enabled the AFCON to be viewed everywhere. But now, if that's not going to trickle down all the way to the leagues, then it's a waste. Because are we only going to see these stars at the AFCON? That's it.
Sizwe, on your side, as a parting shot, recovery route for African football, because this now, you can't have so many non-games and then...
Certain parties need to be held accountable. In this case, what you do in the Al-Ahly Zamalek thing is very interesting for me, going forward.
No, the rule says it should be. The rule says the team is there. It's 3 points, and there should be no debate.
There you go. But what you do going forward, we know what the rule state, but what they do about it going forward is something we're still waiting to see. Secondly, like you say, the credibility and sponsorship and fans, and we must remember, when you're speaking Egyptian football, when you're speaking South African football, our stars are mostly in our local games. Right? That's why our local leagues are so dope. But if you're hurting that, including in Tanzania, you're hurting 3 big leagues here that are doing a lot, even at Champions League football level.
Lufuno, parting shot from you. How do we recover as a continent?
It's a straightforward thing. We've got an AGM where we raise this kind of
There's
issues.
African Club Association, which the chairman of Young is the.
No way he is.
I mean, he was
He's at the top structures of African football. These good habits that we speak about from the top should be able to trickle down to him. And I mean, for a game to be postponed for silly things like that, I mean, it's very worrying. But I mean, they've got opportunity to learn from their mistake and say, this is what we did wrong. Let's go and fix it for the sake of football in Tanzania, for the sake of football in Africa.
I fully understand. Simba had players that were off, that were injured, so they were not available. So. Thank you for watching. We look forward to your comments below. Let us know what you think of what happened, either in Pretoria, either in Dar, either in Cairo. We look forward to your comment and thank you for joining us.
I saw a cherry and it was red.